Peace, family. Brother Deric Muhammad here, and feels good to be back. Now let's work. The title of this video is called Making the Hood Great Again. Donald Trump, who has successfully become the President of the United States of America, ran on the premise that he would make America great again. And the wise among us who could see through his coded language understood that what he actually meant was that he wanted to make America white again. It is a white nationalist platform that you and I can see that he's implementing and executing with breakneck speed. I think that we need to take a page from the climate that Donald Trump has created. He wants to make America great again. We're against that. But I believe that the best way for us to combat what Trump is doing, he and his administration, his cabinet, which I spell with 3 Ks, KK cabinet, is for us to focus on making the hood great again. If all we can do is be anti-Trump, then we will spend the next 4 to 8 years on defense. And no people can ever or has ever gained their liberation and their freedom strictly on defense. It's time for us to play offense. Making the hood great again. Now, if we're talking about making the hood great again, we have to ask ourselves the question, at what point were we at our apex of greatness in this country? I humbly submit to you, brothers and sisters, that before integration, the black community was on the road to greatness. We had our own businesses. We controlled our own schools. We controlled the politics in our communities. We were united against white supremacy. We knew back then that we had an open enemy. He was an overt enemy, not a covert enemy, because back then they didn't use code language. They came right out and said it to you, your face, the thing that they thought of you. In other words, they would call you an N-word to your face. Our grandmothers would get on the public transportation buses and go to their homes and clean their homes and have to deal with their disrespect. They even sometimes spit in our grandmothers' faces and things of that nature when they were domestic workers. We went through hell back then, and we were clear on who the enemy was. But now we're somewhat confused. The confusion comes in when you and I begin to do to one another the same types of evil that was done to us back then. But Mr. Trump is clearing things up for us. And I don't know about you, but I would rather know that you dislike me and wish death upon me. I would rather you say it to my face than for me to have to find out the hard way. Mr. Trump and his cabinet is saying it to your face. Now, what is it that you and I have to do in this day and time? Brothers and sisters, and those who are listening, people of goodwill, we have to go back to the basics of community building. We have to go back to the basics of each one teach one. We have to go back to the basics of circulating the dollar in our own community. I know some of you are saying, well, Brother Deric, we've heard this before. Obviously, we have not heard it enough because we haven't began executing it. So it's not enough for us to take a defensive position against what Donald Trump is doing. We have to unite like never before. We have to organize and mobilize like never before. We have to support channels like this one, black media like this one, that helps to push and promote our message and our agenda like never before. If we fail to do this in this particular day and time, we will suffer great loss. Now, what loss are you talking about? A suffering, Brother Deric. It'll be more drastic than you've ever seen it. Somebody asked me the question, what do you think Donald Trump has planned for black people? And the first thought that came to mind was death. You're witnessing modern day ethnic cleansing taking place right in front of your eyes. But for black America, it's the best of times and it's the worst of times. Why is it the worst of times? That's self-explanatory. Because you have a president who is with breakneck speed executing a white nationalist agenda. Why is it the best of times? It's the best of times because now you and I don't have an excuse. Now you and I cannot be lulled to sleep by a Washington, D.C. lullaby, believing that a black president in a White House will be the solution to the 400-plus-year-old problem of black people in this country. We don't have an excuse. So, brothers and sisters, let's come together now like never before. Let's take control of the economics in our community. Let's take control of the education in our community. Let's take control of the politics in our community. And through mediums and platforms like the Advise Show, let's take control of the information that's being circulated in our community. No need to walk around with your head hung down, my people. It is our time now. Let's get up and do what we must do to make the hood great again.